Welcome to AccentCast. Real people, real English. This week, I am sitting down with Emma to talk about what is it like working in England and to answer the quintessential question, should you also work in England? Thank you so much, Emma, for being a part of the podcast this week.
It's not a problem.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Emma, obviously. I am 25 and I work in the Midlands, so I'm not London based. Um, I've worked retail, I've worked aviation, I've worked kind of office kind of jobs.
Mhm.
So I've kind of had a little bit of experience here, there, and everywhere. Mainly in aviation is my kind of speciality. And yeah, I've just most of my time I do bits and pieces working in that, and my spare time I game
Mhm.
and I play D&D and that. So a little bit of a nerd.
Very nice. Me too. Me too. So I guess what was the worst job that you've ever had? I guess we can just go ahead and start with the worst, right? Retail?
I'd say the worst. You'll be surprised. So um, the worst job I've had. It was during COVID, which is a fun time for everyone, and
Mhm.
it was what we call a passenger service agent.
Hmm.
So it's at the airport, I'd be like checking in the bags, checking passports, like
Mhm.
scanning the boarding passes at the gate for people to fly. And because it was COVID, there was a lot of like testing and checking the test papers, so there was extra documents that were
Mhm.
changing. And some days the requirements for other countries would change daily. So like constantly I would have to
Mhm.
be up to date on information, and then the kind of issues that would cause down the line with passengers weren't that fun. So
Oh.
I was in that role for 3 months during 2021, and then I went on to be a flight dispatcher with the same company at the same airport, and that was a lot easier because
Mhm.
there wasn't as much interaction with the customers on that kind of area. I was just making sure that the flight was going out okay, safe,
Mhm.
and correctly. So
Oh.
thankfully my interactions with passengers were a bit nicer then. The the kind of issues I'd have to engage with them would be very different.
Oh yeah, yeah. Working at an airport during COVID, uh, it was chaos at that time, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we've had like a lot of passengers being unboarded from flights because they haven't had the right paperwork,
Mm.
and because we were dealing with primarily low cost carriers, um, a lot of people don't have luggage, so their paperwork wouldn't get checked at the check-in desk because they're not checking the bag. They've already checked in
Mm.
online. So it'll be at the gate just you're about to board is when these kind of issues would present themselves. So down the line, it was just quite frustrating because not only the customers unhappy, but it was extra work for us as well.
And not paid extra, right?
Yeah, not paid extra. Yeah, around about that time, I was on around generally £10 an hour, which, to
Mm.
be frank with you, wasn't that much. It, the weird thing with salaries in aviation,
Mhm.
especially if you're working in the airport environment, is your pay often goes off like based on what the ramp staff are getting, but the ramp staff will then get further pay the more things they are trained in. So if they're trained in, for example, pushing the aircraft back, they
Mhm.
will get extra money for that. If they're trained in um, aircraft marshalling, there'll be extra pay for that and so on. So they would get more pay than perhaps the rest of the team because they would just be trained on more um, kind of areas as such, which would
Uh,
be inaccessible to others as well, which is the frustrating part. But that's why I ended up leaving the company and leaving that kind of workspace because it wasn't going to be working out long term for me.
Makes sense. Where did you go after that company and after COVID?
Yeah. I went into cargo operations and I currently do warehouse work.
Mhm,
So I'm still based at the same airport, but I'm more into cargo now. So dealing with um, boxes instead of people, which for me is much more of my cup of tea
mhm.
because boxes don't talk back, of which everyone goes, oh, yeah, yeah, it's great. So, yeah, a lot of people understand the troubles of customers and passengers in my area. But now, yeah, just boxes, and
Mhm,
it's a bit of an easier role. And because the company, um, because I work in a specialized area for the company,
mhm.
I do get paid a bit better as well. So it's doing well for me.
Makes sense. What is that expression? Working with customers would be great, except for the customers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Now, you said you worked in retail as well. What was
yes.
it for a store? Was it for something specific?
Yeah, I used to sell carpets. Um,
Carpets. Wow.
yes, this
Oh.
was one of my first job roles, and I wouldn't be as open to talking to random people without
Mm.
that job role. That job role, I was 18, figuring out what I want to do
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
while trying to continue my education. So yeah, I sold carpets. My mum still works in the role, and
Hmm.
she kind of got me in there to begin with. We both worked for the now no longer existing Carpetright in my local area. So I did that for a couple of years, and
Hmm.
then just in right in the middle of COVID, actually, um, I changed jobs and I became a what we call live chat associate, I think,
Hmm.
assistant advisor. Sorry, live
Uh,
chat advisor.
mhm.
Managed to get my word there. Live chat advisor, and so instead of actually talking to the customers, that would be online and it would just be text based. So I did that from
Makes
home for 9 months, and then I went on to doing stuff in aviation. So
okay. So I'm presuming that the interactions at the carpet shop were probably much calmer than at the airport. I can't imagine
yeah,
the same problems.
overall, overall, yeah. But the thing is with kind of retail where you're purchasing something and it has to come in and then you have to arrange delivery and all that, is
Mm,
that if you promise deadlines,
mhm,
customers will expect them deadlines. So you have to be very careful with the way how you kind of word things. You have to kind of give them the right kind of expectations. Don't over or
mhm,
underestimate, because if you overestimate how long it might take for the carpet to come into store,
mhm,
they're gonna want to go somewhere else because they probably have their own timeline in their head. So you have to kind
mhm,
of manage expectations, and those expectations are obviously different to what someone would expect at an airport. And it's also a lot of personal selling as well,
mhm,
because our pay would be on commission. And this is the issue with some jobs when
mhm,
you're running on commission and you're just sales,
mhm,
is that I would have to get so much in orders in order to get my minimum wage. And then
yeah.
anything over that, I would get paid like on top of. So I would have to get so much in sales in order to get my wage
Mhm,
and then get so much in commission. But if you don't get enough to get your wage, that's fine, they will top it up anyway. So it's a bit of a like frustrating thing where, you want that extra money, you want to boost your pay, but
mhm.
you have to kind of cover yourself first. But if you don't manage to do that, you'll just get paid anyway. So it's because it's law. that you get minimum pay like
Hmm.
living wage. So it's quite an interesting kind of job in the way of you get completely different expectations of you as well.
So, what was minimum wage like back when you were 18 compared to now?
If I remember off the top of my head, they go up in
Hello.
stages. Minimum wage 18-year-olds, and then which is less than 21-year-olds.
Hmm.
So it kind of goes up. And I wasn't on a large contract as working many hours, so I was getting just enough for a bit of pocket money, basically living at
Hmm.
home, paying rent kind of thing. And
Hmm.
I think we've came up with like the idea of I'll pay like 5% of what I earned every month as rent kind of thing. So I was paying around 100, £200 a month,
Hmm.
if I remember off the top of my head at the time. So, but that's with working hard and earning commission and everything, So, you know, minimum wage nowadays is going up, but it is kind of stalling a little bit, especially with the current living in the UK. There is a constant concern about cost of living at the moment. So the prices of everything's gone up, and we desperately want the wages to try their best to exceed that. Never mind meeting it. So
Hmm.
everyone's managing at the moment, but it is definitely something the government's trying to sort out.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Would you consider yourself a good saleswoman?
Oh no, I think I'm terrible saleswoman. Honestly, I try my best, but most of that job I was eating. So, and you're meant to greet every customer as soon as they come through the door, and I'd be at
Mm-hmm.
like my little desk, and it was always timed perfectly that as soon as I take a bite of something, a customer would walk in. The only thing I say I've mostly learned from that job is never underestimate a wave. I used to just wave at them from the sides, and then because they would spot me, so I'd wave at them, and then they would just go and have a look around, and that it would save me following them around, going, "Oh, do you need any help?" No, they know I'm there because I've acknowledged them with a wave.
Hmm.
Generally, they wave back as well. It's almost an impulsive reaction. If someone waves at you, you wave back. And honestly, I've never seen anyone give me a wave without a smile.
Hmm.
I wave at work a lot to a lot of people around the warehouse because a wave is quite fun and it's friendly and it's like I said, there's never a frown with a smile with a not with a smile. What I'm on about a frown with a wave. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. And waving certainly saves the having to do small talk, right?
yeah, yeah, I can prepare myself for it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So you said that in the current, climate, maybe like I mean, obviously it's universal, right?
Yeah,
Wages are staying stagnant, prices are
yeah,
increasing. Would you
yeah.
say what is England like right now for the average worker?
I mean, we're all trying to save the pennies and hoping the pounds will look after themselves.
Hmm.
Because that's that's my version of a very common saying. If you look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves. It, you know,
Hmm.
keeping on little things, big things will sort them out. We are still trying to, have nice little luxuries. We always try and a lot of like people around me, they were like, oh, we're going away for a couple of days, and so we're still trying to like have like holidays and
Hmm.
like restaurants are still going doing very well. So
Hmm.
our overall kind of treat yourself mentality, that's still there. We're not holding off kind of the little luxuries we can do. We are still earning very well in terms of that kind of thing.
Hmm.
We're definitely not, I'd say, in a pure state of poverty, but we definitely have to be careful of and aware of where we shop, etc. And supermarkets are responding to that as well.
Hmm.
So our cheapest supermarket is generally like Aldi or Lidl,
Hmm.
and a lot of larger supermarkets, more expensive supermarkets, are doing price matches on their products to whatever the equivalent at Aldi and Lidl are. So, you know, I'd find that nowadays we are trying to shop around a bit more. It's like, right, you can get meat cheaper at this place, you can get veg cheaper at this place, oh, this place is good at this. You know, you generally have a spot where you can have pretty good space to shop most of your goods, but if you need to get anything kind of special, or, you know, you
Hmm.
will have to go and shop elsewhere if you need to. Fuel prices aren't too bad at the moment. They're they're a little bit more expensive than
Hmm.
before. To be honest, before Trump, they were a little bit more expensive, and around then, the Ukrainian war definitely didn't help on fuel prices. But
Yeah.
at the moment, they're quite stable. They're a little bit more expensive due to Trump war and the Ukrainian war, but they're not.
Yeah.
They've definitely dropped recently as well. So that's something
Mm.
I definitely pay attention to because I
Hmm.
have quite a long commute, so I keep an eye on these things. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. So speaking of luxuries, what kind of, I guess, small things that you might buy in a week there, or that the average worker might treat themselves with, things like that.
yeah, it's normally like eating out or takeaways.
Hmm.
That's generally something that, you know, we kind of treat ourselves to. It might be that, you know, we might treat ourselves to a named brand item rather than a non-named brand item,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kind of thing. Or I'll buy something for the team at work. That's something I love to do. You know, I'll treat like, oh, let me treat the guys at work with something. You know, I've got a little bit more money in the budget. Um, it also comes down to hobbies as well. I had a little bit of more pennies in my bank, so I managed to buy like a miniature for D&D, for example,
Oh,
or if I
nice.
managed to buy for a game, buy another game, etc. So, you know, it really depends on people's hobbies and that. But yeah,
Hmm.
we kind of treat ourselves week to week, you know, having one day where you don't have to cook and stuff like that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So speaking uh of food, right? So
Yep.
what is your favorite place to go out to eat, if you decide to go out to eat?
Well, thing is, I like to change my mind often. I
Oh.
have something that I'm craving, and then soon as I had it, I have to wait for the next craving to be like, oh yeah, I really want to go and eat this. So,
Mm,
um, there's a lot of places that you can eat out at, especially in cities. Cities, you get a lot more independent restaurants, you get a lot more
mhm,
kind of varied places to eat. In your more suburb,
mhm,
smaller towns, etc., you tend to get like a Turkish restaurant, a couple of Indian restaurants, like Chinese takeaways, fish and chips.
mhm,
Those are your general like ones that you can get kebab rest like kebab takeaways and stuff. So yeah, but when you go into the into the cities a bit more, you have like, you know, your Chinese buffets, your all you can eat like
mhm,
world food buffets, a lot of like Japanese places, Mexican, Spanish, French, steak houses. I
mhm,
think something that's quite common in the UK across the board is we have like chain pubs.
mhm,
So it's a pub kind of company which just runs a bunch of pubs and they'll serve very similar menu items everywhere.
okay.
And so and the brewery will support that pub in selling things, etc., because it's kind of their name and branding. That's very common, and there's quite a few of them still going around and selling. So we've got like three Marstons in my local area, Marston pubs, but
Okay.
there's also ones like the Stonehouse and the Green King, which are quite popular as well. And so that's quite a common place for people to go to. You tend to check out like your local pub is good for having a treat yourself little drink, and
Mhm,
that because your prices are adapted to the local area as well. So you'll find
Mm.
quite often, you go to your local like pub and you'll have prices that you can meet at rather than going out. Like if you pop into if you live in the town and you go to like the nearest city, that's where it's kind of like, okay, this is definitely a big treat yourself because it's going to be more expensive because cities normally operate on a more expensive kind of areas. So,
Interesting. Interesting. I know fish and chips are definitely something we like
oh
most people would
yes,
think about whenever we think of
yes.
pubs, right?
Uh, pubs food is normally stuff like stews, steaks, pies.
Mm,
On
mm,
every Sunday they'll have what we call a carvery, which is a roast dinner,
mm.
and
Okay.
that's generally like either you'll get like a plate with all your veg, whatever meat you want, a Yorkshire pudding, or if you go to kind of carvery pubs where their main thing is carveries, it's normally like a thing you go up and you give you like a ticket so that you paid for it, and you get like whatever choice of like 3 or 4 different meats, and then all the veg you can just help yourself to, and gravy you help yourself to those bits. So they're quite popular, especially on a Sunday. So
Interesting. Interesting.
fish and
And
chips is generally more of a takeaway situation,
mm,
especially popular by the seaside, obviously.
yeah, yeah, I could imagine that. I could imagine that. Now, living in the Midlands, right? That
Yep.
is not the coast, right? And in the last
We don't,
episode, we explored that a little bit.
yeah, we don't have much coast at all. So um,
Mm,
it is quite entertaining. The quirky thing about the Midlands is that I live in the West Midlands near the Black Country,
mhm.
and the Black Country is well beloved in generally just the Black Country in the local areas for orange chips, which are battered chips, and it's a different kind of batter to the batter you're thinking of.
Hmm,
You've
okay.
on your normal fish, it's completely different. It's you battered, it's battered chips, and that's very popular in the Black Country. It's their like kind of little thing, and no one else seems to know what it is. I've grown up with bad chips being near me. My local chippy does it. They do pretty good bad chips, orange chips, and everyone else like. And because I don't work
Mhm.
near the Black Country, they're like, "What's orange chips?" And I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know what orange chips is?" But yet they tell me off for not knowing what calling a cob a bap.
I am currently Googling these orange chips. Is it like a spice on top?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's a little bit of spice, but we like having salt and vinegar on them anyway. So
Okay,
I
yeah.
yeah, we're big on salt and vinegar with chips, and they just add a bit of crispiness to it.
Mm,
Nice bit of crunch, and they're definitely delicious.
interesting, interesting. Well, when I visit England one day, I'm definitely. Well, I don't know if I'm going to try this specifically, but I'm sure there are many different foods I will end up trying, right?
Yeah, we're surprisingly diverse when you think about it.
Mm. So we only have a few minutes here. I wanted to ask
Yep.
you your opinion. Is is it good to work in England? Would you recommend somebody come over there and work?
At the moment, I don't know how easy it is to come over here and work,
Mhm,
but we definitely have foreign nationals still living in the UK, still working. I work with a lot of different people from around the world, and I think it's evident the fact that they haven't moved home and instead decided to stay in England
mhm,
is
mhm,
evidence that to me, we're a pretty good place to stay, despite, the concerns about the cost of living, etc. We're still doing pretty well. We're still confident, and we still are able to kind of continue on, keep calm and carry on, as we like to say.
mhm.
So yeah, I would say if there's a job opportunity to move to the UK, I would recommend it. Um, just be aware of what kind of areas you should live in compared to what your budget is, because they do very much vary. So preparation for moving over here and working, and then just, yeah, thanks for contributing is all I can say. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I would recommend it if you have that opportunity, but I wouldn't say search for an opportunity unless if you're absolutely dead set on moving to the UK, we would love to have you. I think
Mhm.
most of us will. We like
Yeah.
that kind of. We have a lot of multicultural kind of communities across the
Mhm.
UK. But if you're not, if something lands on your doorstep, yeah, I would say take it. If anything, just for the experience.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Emma, for joining us on this week's podcast. Absolutely wonderful episode. For the people watching, be sure to like and subscribe. That keeps the podcast going. I'm just kidding. I keep the podcast going, whether or not you like and subscribe, but you should do it anyway, just because I am asking you to now. So thank you so much and have a wonderful Friday. See you next week.